You must be here for the blackberry wine. Brilliant, I love blackberry wine. So come, let's make it. Oh, blackberries are everywhere. And what could be easier and tastier than freshly picked berries dripping their juice all over you? You can't fault it, you can't beat it. Oh, finger licking good berry ripeness, enjoy. So anyway, what we need for this recipe is not to get dribbled on too much. What we need for this recipe is 1.5 kilos of ripe, scrumptious berries, freshly picked if you can. But if you don't have time or enough bushes to gather 1.5 kilos and the same picking, put them in the freezer. You can freeze berries and they are perfect. So freeze what you pick when you're out with the dogs. Get the kids being all pricked and doing the hard work for you. What they come with, put in the freezer until you have 1.5 kilos worth. I have 1.5 kilos. Half have been frozen, half I bit this morning when I was out with the puppies. And berry wine is a wine that anyone can make. It's simple. If you've never made a wine before, blackberry wine is one you should start with. Blackberry wine is a wine anyone can make. So grab yourself a clean, sanitised, sterilised fermentation bucket and shove in your 1.5 kilos of lovely, divine, sweet blackberries into the bucket. Wines do not take long to actually make. The time-consuming thing is being busy doing nothing, waiting for the wine to mature. Set it aside, that's the long bit. The process of making the wine, dead simple. Grab yourself a lemon, cut the lemon in half, squeeze the lemon into the bucket and throw the chunks into the bucket with those blackberries. One important thing to add to a blackberry wine is pectolase. Berries, blackberries especially, contain pectin enzyme, and this might cause a cloudiness in the finished wine. It may not be perfectly clear unless you add some pectolase to the wine at this stage to help prevent and combat that. If you don't have this, don't worry. The wine will be perfectly good, perfectly brilliant. It may just have a bit of a haze to it, may not be perfectly clear. But for best results, add about 1 teaspoon's worth of pectolase into the mix. On top of your blackberries, you want to pour over 2 litres of boiling water straight on top of them. This helps all that delicious, lovely blackberry flavour seep out of the berries. On top of the berries, on top of the boiling water, it's time now to add 1.5 kilograms of plain granulated sugar. You can use demerara or brown sugar if you wanted to. It would help bring out an earthy flavour to the wine, but you don't really need it for blackberries because blackberries carry more than enough flavour on their own. The different sugar varieties will not add anything to the wine. It will not improve it, so to speak. So shove in your sugar and give it a really good swirl stir. Get that sugar all dissolved in with the berry juice, the berries, the lemon juice and the boiling water. If you can, at this stage, whilst you're stirring, crush the blackberries to release the juice. Even better. The more flow of the juices, the better there is. So make sure you get as much juice out of them as you can. Now, all we need to do is bring that liquid level up to the 1 gallon mark. So pour in another 2.5 litres of cold water because you want to bring the temperature down to lukewarm, the temperature of fresh breast milk ideally. So pour in your 2.5 litres of cool cold water, and bear in mind the berries in there will also release a bit of juice. Ideally you want the juice of the berries to impart their flavour. That's what it's all about, extracting the juice. Give it another twirl around with your spoon and simply now pour in your chosen wine yeast. It does not matter what type you really add. Wine yeast will do the job. You can tweak around, you can play with flavours, but if this is your first wine, go for a general purpose wine yeast. You buy a big tub, lasts you an age. If you want to start being technical and going down types of yeast, go for it. This wine yeast does contain yeast nutrients, but if yours doesn't, add some yeast nutrients. It will really help the fermentation process. What we need to do now is put a lid with an airlock on top of your bucket and set it aside in a warm place for 5 to 7 days. Let the aerobic fermentation take place. Let the yeast have the oxygen to mix in to really get it going, really lively, and for those blackberries to extract all of the juice and flavour and sweetness and sugar into your wine. And then I'll be back with you in 5 to 7 days, and we'll carry on with the blackberry wine. And the blackberry wine has been stood, fermenting, becoming all vivacious and having a great big yeasty, sugary orgy for the past 5 to 7 days. It's now time to carry on with the next stage of the wine making process. What we want to do is transfer the wine from the fermentation bucket into a clean, sterilised demijohn. For darker reds, I like to use a dark coloured demijohn. Brown, ideally, if you have it, or if not brown, then a green one. The clear white ones do tend to skunk dark coloured wines, especially blackberry. The colour will leach out from a lovely dark red into a brown, a sepia style colour wine, which is not what you really want. You want to preserve that wonderful, amazing red blackberry colour. If you can't find a dark coloured demijohn, don't panic, no fear, no stress. Grab yourself a newspaper and wrap the newspaper all around the demijohn, or just store it under the stairs or in a dark cupboard, away from the UV light, away from natural sunlight. Just keep it in a dark place. The aim is to remove all those blackberry fragments and particles out of the liquid. Remove the solid, the lees, remove the soft berries as much as you can. Various different methods you can try, but I try to get as many out as I can at this stage. So use your sieve, use whichever method you like. Pour it through a colander, pour it through a sieve, scoop if you fancy. Get all those berries out of that liquid. With the bulk of your lovely berries extracted from the juice, we want to transfer the leftover liquid, the wine, the fermenting juice, into your clean demijohn. I like to transfer it through a funnel with a mesh net or a bag, one of those you can pick up from Tesco's, but your fruit and veg works ideally. This net, or the pair of stockings you might choose, captures all the last remaining particles, those annoying pips that get stuck in your teeth or tiny bits of flesh. It does not matter if a few bits do make its way into the demijohn. They will be extracted when you come to rack the wine down the line. So simply pouring the lovely juice through the funnel, through the mesh bag, into your sterilised, clean demijohn. With all of your lovely juice in the demijohn, you want to top it up with cold water to the net level and insert a clean airlock into your demijohn, pushing that bung as far as it goes. And hey ho, the blackberry wine is nearly ready. At least your part is. You want to set this aside in a warm, dark place until fermentation has concluded. You want your wine to ferment right the way down, so use a hydrometer just to check when it's finished. Then you can back sweeten or step feed it if you fancy. But generally, this blackberry wine with that sugar does not need much back sweetening according to my tastes. But it's your wine. Make it your way. If you feel it needs to be sweeter, go for it. If you want it to be stronger, step feed it. It's your wine, it's your choice. Play around with the flavours. You'll need to rack this off at some point because the liquid will drop some more sediment down. Give it 6 months to 12 months in the demijohn, then bottle and then enjoy at your pleasure. If you want to learn how to make a frozen mixed berry wine, check out this video up by here and I'll see you all really soon. You have a good day now.